Hello and welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. I just wanted to talk about Michael Gove's rant yesterday about 5G. It was on their normal 5 o'clock briefing. It's interesting how also the other day I put Matt Hancock's and I was trying to find it on catch up to see because it didn't record for some reason. So I wanted to find it and catch up, but it wasn't there. But it's interesting how the 5G conspiracy, it's called 5G conspiracy theory, is absolute rubbish. It is on the catch-up, obviously, because that's their gatekeeping responsibility. You could have guessed that one would have definitely been there for everyone to be able to catch up on. And I don't know whether, his rant, it seems very off the cuff, the manner in which he speaks. It doesn't seem planned, and like if you hear the other answers where he talks about things, it's very planned, so it makes me think that it's just off the cuff. And the problem is with that is then what research did he do to be able to give that answer? I suspect very little. And obviously this is the way the government, and most people, if you ask them about something they don't really know very much about, they're going to say whatever the party line, as it were, is. Whatever the system has told them, because they believe that no one would do anything bad to anyone. No one would. Well, wait a minute, but we've got recent proof of that. A pharmaceutical company whose job it is to make medicine to cure people, and they gave to the British government a trial that they've been pushed heavily, and unfortunately, I wish he'd named and shamed who that was, and it failed to pick up Covid19 or coronavirus, whichever they're looking for, 3 times out of 4. So there's your example, and of course we all remember Primados, that's a recent one as well. At the time, GPs, the government were telling people, no, it's perfectly safe, even when people were coming back and saying, no, there's something wrong, children coming with malformations, and I don't know if there was death as well. And then they were saying, no, it's perfectly fine. Now, years later, we find out that they knew all along that there was a problem with this drug. So, just because someone in charge, in lead at this time says, oh, it's completely rubbish, well, that doesn't necessarily mean it is, because there's a lot of evidence amounting, and there's not been very much, as I'm aware, there hasn't been very much testing of the 5G and its effects to health on humans because of the wavelength that I think it's to do with the wavelength that it broadcasts at, that it's almost weapon grade, because we all know that you can, the thing is, people think of wavelength as something, friendly, like, because our TV signals come through it, we have a microwave that comes through it, but if you sit inside that microwave, it's going to cook you, isn't it? And we all know there are weapons that use those kinds of things. We know that it can have that kind of effect. So if it is a certain whatever length it is, whatever the wavelength, I don't know very much about it. So, but it's just interesting. He decided to rant about, obviously, and so I thought I'd play that so you can hear it. And there's many YouTube channels you can find talking about 5G. They give a lot of research that people are doing and finding out things about this. Luckily my internet started working today, so I can put the video that I recorded yesterday on. But the thing is, obviously, the connection with why, because I didn't know anything about this until I looked it up and I found that there was some people, I think it was in the north somewhere, had set fire to some 5G masts, although they turned out not to be 5G masks. They were 2 to 4G, which is another problem with people just, it's the same, it's because people don't research things properly, or they guess, or, I don't know, maybe the company lied and it is a 5G one. I know that's going to be the response back. The problem is, in this world now, it's difficult to know who's telling the truth, because anyone can say anything either way. You know, the government would say one line, a truther would say another line, another truther would say another line, government would say something else. So it's difficult to know which one is telling the truth. Is it a 5G mast or not? Did they just make a mistake, because that does happen? Or is it that the company's lying because they want to make out that, oh, how silly they were, which is a possibility. So I don't know which one of those is true. But it is strange that my understanding is that we've all seen the talks of 5G and the contracts that the British government were told not to sign by the Americans, and there was a lot of hoo-ha about that, and it was coming from China. Was it the Huawei company wanted to install the 5G network for the UK? The UK were worried about it for security reasons. So it's interesting to note that as far as I'm understanding it, I don't know if this is true or not, but the truth of the argument is that the 5G was heavily tested or started in Wuhan, China. And of course we all know that the novel coronavirus Covid19 started in Wuhan and was it Hubei. I don't know if they have many 5G masts out there as well. And I know I have seen on Facebook, and I don't know whether it's true because I know it's easy to manipulate things, but I saw a picture where it showed the United States of America. It showed where the heavy outbreaks of Covid-19 were correlated with 5G masts, and they sort of matched. But I know that is easy to fake, because there's no way I could validate, and most people aren't going to bother to validate. And this is the problem, you know, which I was mentioning yesterday, that we can't fall down that same rabbit hole that we did, like with believing just because we see something means that it is true. We need to be able to research it and to validate it ourselves. But I suspect that is probably not. That's the problem. It's easy to create things that mislead people. You know, that's the same with statistics. You can easily do that. That's what worries me. Anyway, with the 5G and Wuhan thing, is it a coincidence that the 5G started there? You know, and let's talk about the fracking. There was a lot of, you know, the government saying, no, it's perfectly fine, scientists saying it's perfectly fine, but every time they try and frack, there's an earthquake, and there's these kinds of things. So, you know, they want to make money, that's their goal, and sometimes the health and safety of the human beings don't matter. And the thing is, like, they won't be looking for most scientists who are researching this won't be looking for the connection between 5G, because they'll be on the party line and they won't even be thinking that could possibly cause or you know, be the catalyst for this. And I don't know whether it could or not, but the fact is, because they're not open-minded, they're not going to properly research it with an open mind and say, well, let's just research it and see, is it possible or not? That will never happen. So that, of course, lends to the truth of the argument that it's a conspiracy. And then my worry with this Covid-19, I mean, I feel that the only way you could know as a truther whether it's real or not is if you know someone that you love and trust, you know, I mean, it has to be now, you know, for a truther that's probably like your immediate close family, i.e. your husband, your wife, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, maybe some close friends if they're truthers as well. If one of them catches this and is healthy and then dies, then you could maybe then say, yes, I have experience of this. For now, we just have experience of news. And yes, of course, it's easy to manipulate news. We know that's possible. There's an easy way to hide the deaths. You could use, as I said, 10,000 people, is it a week or a month? I can't remember what it was now that I reported back before from the statistics, the government statistics, die every day. Every week or month, whatever it is, 10,000. So you could easily redistribute those numbers. It'd be interesting to see whether those numbers should, you know, if it was 10,000 every single month, say, they should be uniform still, but with extra deaths on top. If they then look exactly the same, then we know to repurpose them. My worry with the statistics, I do MI and stuff like that. My worry, you know, I'm not a great statistician, but my worry is that the numbers look very conformed, the conformity of them, the fact that, you know, if you look at different countries, the way that the deaths. You know, like 500 people die one day, 560 die another day, and then 700. And, you know, it's very, you know, there's no fluctuation, which I would expect. Why is there no days when no one dies, or when only 20 people die, or 100 people die, or 1,000 people die? You know, more of a fluctuation. Why is it so? I don't know. That's what worries me about the figures. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is possible. I don't know if there's anything we could look at where you could look at those figures and say, yeah, that doesn't look right. Just to me, it just seems a lot of people dying, and the same amount dying within the next 24 hours. Next 24 hours, the same amount, and it's universal around the different countries. It all seem to have that same kind of pattern with the numbers. So that's the only thing that makes me feel, that's a little bit suspicious. From doing statistics myself, I expect more of a fluctuation. I don't, especially when it's something like this, where how do 500 people on order, have the same condition, have the same, they came in at the same time, different time. How is it that it's all nicely, the same amount, and then it just grows. There's not much fluctuation. There is a little bit I've noticed at the beginning there, where it went down a little bit and went up a little bit, but it's very, very minor. And so I don't know why. Would you have people dying every single day, or do they batch up the figures, and that's why it's creating this illusion a little bit, because it's the way they're doing them? Also, I'm amazed how, especially this country, has able to get these figures so quickly. If they're around, all the different hospitals of the country are reporting these deaths. I don't know what system they're using, whether they had a system already, because they didn't seem to have a system before, when they found out that 15 years a nurse had been killing babies or putting things in intravenous drips and things. You've heard of those stories. So, and then they go and investigate the hospital and find there's an unusual number of deaths, and it's like historical. So I don't really know, did they create a new system for them being able to tell Public Health England exactly how many people died in that 24 hours, plus giving all the details, the time? I mean, knowing they're 24 hours behind now, maybe that's why, I don't know. But just the numbers, for me, that's what concerns me a little bit. Why they're so, they match, they stay steady. There's no real fluctuation. Alright, take care, take it easy. God bless and peace. In all my excitement, I forgot to play Michael Go. Here you go, Michael.
That they play a role in the spread of the disease. That's just nonsense. Dangerous nonsense as well. And I'm hand over to Steve to say a little bit more about the vital importance of knocking down this rubbish. Yes.
So the 5G story is complete and utter rubbish. It's nonsense. It's the worst kind of fake news. The reality is that the mobile phone networks are absolutely critical to all of us, particularly in a time when we are asking people to stay at home and to not see relatives and friends. But in particular, those are also the phone networks that are used by our emergency services and our health workers. And I'm absolutely outraged, absolutely disgusted that people would be taking action against the very infrastructure that we need to respond to this health emergency. It is absolute and utter rubbish, and I can't condemn it in stronger terms than that.
I believe he's an NHS medical director, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how much research he's done into 5G and whether that's his field of expertise for him to be able to give that answer. It's funny how sometimes when they're asked a question that they know they don't want to answer, they'll say that they don't have expertise in that, and they can't answer it. But he was very quick to give an answer for that one. But yeah, anyway, what do you expect? Take care, take it easy, God bless and peace.